how did climate change catch us? And we made a long research, and after that we made a big campaign. And this campaign on climate change was the most successful campaign in Germany ever done. So we reached in 2 days more than 25 million people on TV and more than 25 million on newspapers. And this is the force of Aldebaran, the NGO I founded 18 years ago, to combine research with communication. And this boat is a platform for scientists and also a platform for journalists, like my cameraman Chris Landerer. He's working for us since many years. He's also working for the German TV. So we have a high quality what we are talking about. And after this big campaign for the Max Planck Institute for IPCC, today everybody knows what is IPCC, I was thinking about how could we show to people climate change? Where are the impacts of climate change? That's the way we came to Belize, and we found islands washed away somewhere. We looked under the water, we found corals bleaching, we find the competition between algae and corals. So the first scientific work we carried out here in Belize was to looking for the algae. And the scientists told me that there is not enough scientific work to follow up the climate change. Under the sea, many things are changing and nobody knows because there are not enough scientific programs. And as Jocelyn mentioned, algae are very sensible, and all the circumstances have to be good. So algae are not sensible. Algae could gap in wherever something is broke down or whatever. And we recognized that underwater algae took over a lot of the areas where normally corals are living. And that's a kind of alert to talk about the negative thing. To talk about the positive thing is that we had a scientist from Munich, one of the German leading scientists for coral reef. And when we were diving out in Half Moon Key, he came aboard Aldebaran and said, "I've never seen such a good ecosystem, such an intact coral ecosystem like there." So Belize has a big potential, and our idea to come to Belize is to help with scientific contacts, to help out with a platform like Aldebaran, who is able to drive in shallow waters. It's very highly equipped. I think I can say it's the highest equipped boat who can drive in shallow water areas, and we also have some facilities to visualize what we see. We have microscopes, we have underwater cameras, and we have a very small radio station and satellite technique, so we are able to transmit live from this boat in radio quality to all over the world. And the aim of what we do is to bring the environment and to bring climate change issues on the same political level than all other political news. And I'm very happy that the German ambassador had the idea to come together here in Gladen, and I'm very happy that honorable ministers are joined us. And I know it's hard to take out one day to be here and to listen and to be a part of this activity. And I'm deeply impressed by this event, and I hope we can now talk about how we can put together all the know-how sitting now around this table, the NGOs, the scientists, the climate change center, the ministries, and the German government, whose ears are quite open to Belize. You know, last year we made a cooperation with the National German TV, and we broadcasted in 1 week, every day, some small piece about Belize. And this raises awareness, and I think the German ears are open, and I hope we can do some constructive work in the next many years. Thanks.
Okay, and I've always enjoyed listening to Frank.
Yeah, to this I want to say something. Through Frank, is Belize now in Germany very well known. Before, everybody asked me, where's Belize? Yeah, what is Belize? So no, Belize was yeah, not well known in Germany. And he brought all these films, underwater films, and these fantastic productions on TV. And so he's a very, very good person for, how do you say, the ambassador for Belize.
Yes, a good spokesman for Belize. Good Belizean ambassador to Germany.
Yeah, and Belize is now more well known in Germany.
Belize is now more well known, yeah.
And a lot of people, they booked holidays in Belize, special divers.
So you have a lot of German divers and
more and more now
coming in more and more to Belize.
Yeah.
So here we go promoting the tourism product.
Yes.
Hence it was so important to have out there the Minister, for example, of Culture and Tourism.
Yes.
Because of the relationship that exists between conserving the environment. They had the Minister of Fisheries who is responsible for that. Conserving the fisheries environment, keep it as pristine as possible. So it's also part of our culture, the culture of our fisher folk.
Yeah.
You know, and of course it brings in a lot of tourism dollars to the country as well.
Yeah, this is important, and especially the European market is important for Belize to bring it in. It's still very virgin, and Frank helps a lot.
Okay, I'm sure he does a lot, and he has much more to do, because I understand he's coming back next year again.
Yes, sure.
That's what he told me.
He wants to build his own Aldebaran boat in Belize, to have it the whole year in Belize.
Okay, so he's going to build a second Aldebaran just to Belize.
Yeah.
And Aldebaran really has everything on board. I mean, state of the art, the equipment on board. All right. I mean, you imagine it where communications is concerned, and they got it. Even an FM radio station. It's in that small little boat that you see there, power pack. Right? Power pack boat. All right. Now, I was asked to host really the conference that was held. So that's why I know cameraman when Frank said thanks for it, it was because I was hosting the press conference, basically. And so the next person we had talking was Dr. Kenrick Leslie, and he was answering a direct question that I had brought up about global warming versus global cooling. You remember?
Yes.
We spoke about that, and this is what he had to say.
I'd like to talk about smoking and cigarettes. You would recall back in the 60s when they first started to say that cigarettes can cause cancer. The cigarette industry came out very strongly to deny, and they even got what we would consider top scientists to support them. It wasn't until in the 80s when the Freedom of Information Act was passed that it was recognized that many scientists were actually saying things that were not true because they were getting grants to support their research. If you recall, back in the 90s, the oil industry, Exxon in particular, was supporting very strongly the idea that there is nothing going on in terms of climate change. It wasn't until around 2000 that Exxon decided that they can no longer support that idea and stop supporting. So to come back to what the question asks of whether the temperature is rising or whether it is cooling, there is enough scientific evidence to show that it is not only rising, but rising much faster than we have predicted. In fact, just recently in the southern hemisphere, one of the major ice caps, or the ice bridge, collapsed because the temperature is so warm. Never in recorded history or anything, that ice bridge was always surviving until now. In the northern hemisphere, the temperatures, we're talking about 1 or 2 degree rise right now. It is of the order of 4 to 5 degrees. So there is no questions in terms of the scientific evidence. It's there. So I would, as I said, one has to be careful when you listen to some reports saying that it is cooling.